Paul, the guy who wrote a huge chunk of the New Testament, started his career literally breathing out murderous threats against Christians, making him perhaps the most aggressive missionary ever, and certainly the last person you'd pick for the job.
Right? We're talking about Saul of Tarsus in Acts chapter 9, and the author, Luke, does not hold back. This isn't just a bit of theological disagreement. This man was a one-person demolition crew against early Christianity.
Absolutely. The text says he was breathing out murderous threats. The Greek word apele paints a picture of someone whose very exhalations were threats. It's not a hobby. It's his personality. He doesn't do persecution. He is persecution.
And he had a resume. He'd already stood there guarding coats, giving his full approval, while Stephen was stoned to death in Acts 7. That wasn't enough for him, though. He wanted more.
More, yes, but organized more. He goes to the high priest, the top dog in Jerusalem, and gets official letters, legal documentation, to go to the synagogues in Damascus. This wasn't some lone wolf vigilante action. He was the institutional enforcer.
His mission statement was crystal clear. Find anyone connected to the way, men, women, doesn't matter, and drag them back to Jerusalem in chains. This was the guy, the absolute last person you'd expect God to tap for a most prolific missionary role.
He wasn't open-minded. He wasn't seeking. He was a hunter, a persecutor. So naturally, God decides, this guy's perfect. Let's really shake things up.
And then, boom, it happens. The interruption. As he neared Damascus on his journey, suddenly a light from heaven flashed around him. That word, suddenly, exaipnes, is important. No warning, no gradual conviction, just flash.
It wasn't a gentle glow either. This light wasn't subtle. It knocked him right off his feet, literally, to the ground. And his traveling companions saw it too. They heard the sound. They were just standing there, terrified, speechless.
It's a cosmic intervention, right? Reality itself breaking through. And then he hears the voice, Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me?
Notice the intimacy in that repetition. Saul, Saul, it's not accusatory, it's almost tender. The voice knows his name, knows his heart. And the critical part, it's not, why are you persecuting my people? It's, why are you persecuting me?
That's the scandalous part of the gospel, isn't it? When you persecute the church, you're persecuting Christ himself. Attack his body, you attack him directly.
So Saul asks the obvious question, the only one that makes sense. Who are you, Lord? And the answer just shatters his entire world. I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting.
Imagine that. Jesus, the one Saul believed was a blasphemer, a false messiah, a deceiver, the one whose followers he was hunting down to silence forever. And Jesus is alive, and he's speaking, and he's directly linking himself to the very people Saul was trying to eradicate.
And the kicker? Jesus doesn't debate him, doesn't argue theology. He just says, now get up and go into the city, and you will be told what you must do. And Saul, the guy who was in control, obeys.
He gets up, but when he opens his eyes, he can't see a thing. 3 days of blindness, 3 days of darkness, just him, his thoughts, and the memory of that voice. For a man of action, of power, of absolute control, this must have been excruciating.
He can't eat, can't drink, can't see. He's utterly helpless, totally dependent, broken even. And in that brokenness, God is doing something unseen, preparing Saul, not just to believe in Jesus, but to actually testify about him.
The word martyr comes from the Greek martys, meaning a witness, a testifier. Saul is about to become Christianity's greatest witness. But first, he has to be unmade, stripped of his certainty, his authority, his very vision, both literally and spiritually.
This story completely demolishes our expectations about conversion. We often think it's for the open-minded, the seekers, the humble. But Saul was none of those. He was closed, certain, proud, the exact opposite.
Yet God chose him, not because Saul deserved it or was even remotely ready. God's grace doesn't wait for readiness. It creates it. It's a profound truth. The most reluctant converts often become the most passionate witnesses.
Why? Because they've been turned inside out. They've experienced the shock of being fundamentally wrong. Saul didn't just change his mind about Jesus. His entire identity was inverted. He went from persecutor to proclaimer, from hunter to hunted.
From enforcer of the Old Covenant to the apostle of the New. That radical reversal creates a witness that simply cannot be silenced. He knew firsthand that Jesus is alive, that he speaks, that he transforms. He can turn a murderer into a missionary.
So if you know someone who thinks they're too far gone, too hardened, or just entirely committed to the wrong path, this story from Acts 9 shows how God truly specializes in the unexpected. Share this episode with them.